Most people think politeness is harmless, a way to keep the peace, a sign of maturity. But what if I told you it's costing you everything? Every time you smile when you should speak. Every time you say it's okay when it's not. Every time you prioritize comfort over clarity, you're giving away power, quietly, automatically, and worst of all, predictably. You've been trained since childhood to be agreeable, to keep your voice down, to let others finish, even when they've crossed a line. Society dressed this training in the language of virtue. Be nice, be humble, be polite. But here's the truth. Politeness, when unexamined, is submission wearing a smile. And that's exactly what the manipulators, aggressors, and passive power players are counting on. They don't need to raise their voice or make threats. All they have to do is watch you comply willingly, because they know you'll prioritize being liked over being respected. And once they know that, you're no longer a person, you're a tool. Here's what most people never realize. The world doesn't reward politeness. It rewards presence, boundaries, cold neutrality when necessary. Machiavelli never said be cruel, he said be calculated. Don't give kindness by default, give it by design. That's how power works. That's how presence is felt. Because when you stop using politeness as a shield, you start using it as a weapon. And that's what this video is going to give you. You're about to learn the 5 real-life moments where politeness becomes a liability, where your instinct to be agreeable is silently teaching people how to dominate you. We'll dissect the games manipulators play, the tricks they use to steal your frame, and most importantly, how to stop it cold. Without rage, without noise, just presence. By the end of this, you won't be just polite, you'll be strategically untouchable. And the people around you will feel it, even if they can't explain why. Thank you for your support. Hit that subscribe button and do ensure you like, comment, and share this with others. Situation 1. When someone crosses a line you never gave them permission to test. You're standing there, mid-conversation, when someone leans just a little too close. They say something off, barely inappropriate, a touch too familiar. They interrupt you, speak over you, and look you in the eye like you're the one out of line for noticing. You feel it, that flash of discomfort. And what do most people do? They smile. They laugh awkwardly. They say things like, "Oh, it's fine. Haha, yeah, I guess I'm being sensitive." They keep the mood light. They try not to rock the boat. They choose politeness. But here's what Machiavelli would see in that moment. You're being measured, not just interacted with, tested. Some people don't ask for power. They test for it. They push softly. They prod. They invade subtly, just enough to see if you'll fold. And when you do, when you opt for comfort over confrontation, they learn everything they need to know about you. They learn you'd rather be liked than respected. They learn your boundaries are negotiable if the tone is casual. They learn that all it takes to manipulate you is a smile. And from that moment on, they don't come back as a friend. They come back as a handler. Machiavelli would call this the turning point. The moment where the power dynamic is silently, permanently set, and he would not waste it. Here's what he'd tell you. Don't escalate, don't argue, but make it unmistakably clear you saw the move, and it won't be tolerated. That doesn't mean yelling or drama. It means presence, a sharp look, a pause, a cold, clear statement. Don't do that again. That's not acceptable. I didn't give you permission, or better yet, say nothing. Let silence settle like smoke in the air. Let them sit in the awkwardness they created, then walk away. That moment of silence will be louder than any explanation. It says, I am not the one. You've just flipped the power dynamic. You've introduced the one thing manipulators hate, uncertainty. See, they feed off predictable responses, the polite laugh, the forced smile, the easy way out. But when they get cold neutrality, when they sense no shame, no flinch, no nervous laughter, they hesitate. And hesitation breaks the game. This doesn't just apply to strangers either. This happens in families, friend groups, workplaces. Everywhere there's hierarchy, there's testing. People testing what they can get away with. And if you don't signal consequence, you'll become their favorite doormat, because you're the easiest to wipe their feet on. Understand this. Politeness is not morality. It's not virtue. It's a tool. And when used at the wrong time, it's a tool of your own destruction. There is nothing righteous about allowing small violations to snowball into large ones. There is nothing noble about staying quiet just to keep things smooth. Because that smoothness, that harmony, it's not real. It's a performance, one you're starring in at the cost of your authority. Machiavelli didn't believe in raising your voice. He believed in raising your value. And value is felt when people know you could go cold at any moment. So next time someone crosses a boundary you never gave them permission to test, don't default to the smile. Don't shrink. Don't manage the atmosphere. Interrupt the pattern. Because that moment, that single line crossed, isn't just social discomfort. It's a blueprint, a revelation. A question being asked, can I get away with this? Your answer must be no. Without theatrics, without rage, just presence, just posture, just power, in its most silent and undeniable form. Situation 2. When someone apologizes just to manipulate you. Not every apology is sincere. Some are tactics, calculated, timed, manipulative. They betray you, then apologize instantly, not with depth, not with remorse, but with performance. I'm really sorry, okay? Can we just move on? I didn't mean it. Don't take it so seriously. And here's where most people fail the test. They rush to forgive. Not because they're healed, but because they feel pressure to be polite. They're afraid of being seen as bitter, afraid of tension, afraid of looking like they're dragging it out, so they fold. It's okay. I forgive you. I understand. But what they've really said is, you can reset the board whenever you want, just by pretending to care. And now the manipulator knows your buttons. Guilt, appeasement, the social pressure to be the bigger person. Machiavelli would burn this instinct to the ground because he knew what most people still don't. Automatic forgiveness is not virtue, it's vulnerability. When someone says sorry, they're not asking for your forgiveness. They're asking for your emotional reset. They're testing whether they can control when the healing starts. That's not reconciliation, that's domination. And if you say yes, just to be seen as kind, you've taught them something deadly. I control the offense, and I control the peace. Here's what Machiavelli would do. He would pause. He would let the apology land, but go nowhere. No emotional reaction, no verbal permission to reset the game, just presence. And if he said anything at all, it would be minimal, cold. I heard you. Thanks for saying that. Nothing more. Because in that moment, he's not offering comfort. He's retaining control. This doesn't make you cruel. It makes you sovereign. Because forgiveness, real forgiveness, requires more than words. It requires change, accountability, earned trust. And manipulators, they don't want to earn anything. They want to reset without consequences. That's why they apologize quickly. It's scheduled remorse. They're not sorry. They're strategic. And your politeness is the backdoor they use to reinstall themselves in your life. But when you don't flinch, when you don't jump to soothe, when you say thank you with no softness, no comfort, no invitation back in, you become dangerous. You show them you're not emotionally programmable. You're not someone who equates an apology with a free pass. This applies everywhere. In romantic relationships, the partner who cheats, lies, and then just wants to talk. In workplaces, the boss who berates you then sends a half-hearted hope we're good. In friendships, the one who disappears until they need you again and uses an apology to skip the tension. These aren't mistakes, they're patterns, and the apology is their weapon. Not to earn your trust, but to bypass your standards. So here's what you do. Don't rescue them from discomfort. If they feel guilt, good, let them. If they feel awkwardness, better. If they sit in silence after apologizing and you offer nothing, best of all, because what you're really doing is restoring equilibrium. You're teaching them that words alone don't repair damage, that access to you isn't automatic, that comfort must be earned, not granted out of politeness. And once they learn that, you become unpredictable. And unpredictability is power. Machiavelli's wisdom wasn't in cruelty, it was in calculated coldness. Not to harm, but to create clarity. When someone harms you and then tries to schedule your forgiveness, when they rehearse remorse just to reset control, when they count on your manners to protect them from consequences, you must disappoint them. With silence, with restraint, with that look in your eyes that says, you don't get to decide when this is over. Because when you master this response, everything changes. You stop being emotionally blackmailed. You stop being someone's soft place to land after they disrespect you. You stop being programmable. And that's what makes you unplayable. Situation 3. When you're dealing with a chronic victim. You've met them. The person who's always suffering, always slighted, always misunderstood. Every conversation is a monologue about how the world has wronged them, and every story they tell has two roles. They're the hero and the victim. At first you feel compassion. You nod, you empathize, you offer reassurance. That's so unfair. You didn't deserve that. People are just jealous. But slowly, something shifts. You're not just listening, you're feeding them. You've become their emotional crutch. Because here's the truth, Machiavelli would see immediately. This isn't vulnerability, it's emotional parasitism. They don't want clarity, they don't want solutions. They want your pity. Because pity gives them control. It gives them attention, validation, and the upper hand in every dynamic. Why? Because you become the caretaker, and they become the one who can't be challenged. And if you do challenge them, you're suddenly insensitive, aggressive, toxic. They turn the script instantly. Wow, I thought you were supportive. So I guess I can't be honest with you now? That's the trap. Your politeness becomes their leash on your energy. And slowly, without realizing it, you're stuck. Stuck listening. Stuck walking on eggshells. Stuck adjusting your language to avoid setting them off. And worst of all, stuck carrying emotions that aren't yours. Here's what Machiavelli would do. He wouldn't argue. He wouldn't diagnose. He wouldn't try to fix them. He'd detach. He would break the emotional loop, not with cruelty, but with cold disruption. Example, they say, people always take advantage of me. No one ever respects me. You respond, not with comfort, but with a mirror. You always seem to be in the same pattern. Do you ever look at your part in it? Or better yet, say nothing. Change the subject. Redirect the conversation. Make it clear you are not their emotional storage unit, because that moment is a test. It tells them everything they need to know about you. If you nod and validate the victimhood, they think, perfect, I can keep looping here. But if you go still, if you remove the supply, if you stare with calm disinterest, you become a dead end. And manipulators hate dead ends. They'll say you're cold, they'll call you selfish, they'll accuse you of lacking empathy. Let them. Machiavelli never confused empathy with emotional servitude. He knew there's a cost to carrying other people's illusions. And the chronic victim, they're not interested in transformation. They're interested in audience. Here's the deeper danger. Their mindset is contagious. Spend enough time around chronic victims and you begin to absorb their language. Maybe I'm just not lucky. Why does this always happen to me? No one appreciates me either. And suddenly, you're looping too. Politeness opened the door. Pity pulled up a chair. And now you're in the script. Here's your exit. Start recognizing the pattern, not the person. See it early. Interrupt it often. When someone starts another self-pity spiral, don't soften. Don't nod. Don't rescue. Instead, sit in silence. Ask piercing questions. Or say, let's talk about something that's actually productive. It may sound harsh until you realize this truth. Every chronic victim needs a willing audience. And the second you refuse to play that role, their power over you evaporates. This is strategic coldness. Not because you don't care, but because you care enough to not let them drain you. Machiavelli understood the art of conserving energy. He knew that constantly tending to other people's emotional storms will leave you too weak to command your own ship. So he would treat the chronic victim as what they are, a test of boundaries, a subtle domination disguised as suffering, and he would pass that test with precision. He wouldn't shout, he wouldn't lecture. He would exit the loop with dignity, clarity, and cold presence. Because in a world where everyone wants to be heard, the most powerful person is the one who decides what they will not listen to. Situation 4. When your time is being wasted deliberately. There are two kinds of time wasters in this world, the oblivious and the calculated. The first group is scattered, distracted, disorganized. They mean no harm, they're just inefficient. But the second, they're not careless, they're strategic. They use delay as a weapon. They talk in circles, they dodge decisions, they keep you on hold, not because they're unsure, but because they want to see how long you'll tolerate it. And you smile. You nod, you say, it's okay, take your time. I totally understand, no rush. But every time you say it, you fail a test you didn't even know was happening. You just told them, my time only matters if you say so. And that is the first step toward being controlled. Machiavelli would never tolerate this. Why? Because he knew something most people ignore. Once your time becomes negotiable, your power disappears with it. Time isn't just minutes ticking by. It's your most visible posture of self-respect. And people watch how you guard it. That client who keeps rescheduling, they're not busy. They're assessing your standards. That friend who shows up late every time, they're not disorganized. They're testing your boundaries. That partner who isn't sure what they want, they're not confused. They're using ambiguity to stall your momentum. And if you keep playing nice, if you keep being polite, you send one message loud and clear: you can waste my time and I'll still smile. That's not virtue. That's self-betrayal. Machiavelli wouldn't raise his voice. He wouldn't get emotional. He would simply interrupt the pattern. Cold, clear, controlled. Here's how. When someone delays for the third time, you don't chase them. You dismiss them. Say, let me know when this becomes a priority for you. Or we'll revisit when you're ready to move forward. And then walk away. Not with anger, with finality. Because that's what strategic people respect. Not noise, not emotion, but consequences. When you remove access to your time, you signal something deeper. My presence is not free. My energy is not endless. My patience is not guaranteed. That is power. Now let's get real. This applies everywhere. Business. If a prospect ghosts, don't follow up 10 times. Follow up once with leverage. If I don't hear back by Friday, I'll assume the opportunity is no longer active. Dating. If someone is vague, distant, or inconsistent, don't try harder. Say, if this isn't something you're clear on, I'm not the right person for you. Friendship. If someone always cancels last minute, call it. I value my time too much to keep making plans that don't get honored. This isn't about being rude. It's about being anchored, because polite people tend to wait, and waiting turns into hoping, and hoping turns into begging, disguised as optimism. But Machiavelli would tell you, hope is the strategy of the powerless. Your calendar, your energy, your time, these are your frontline defenses. If someone wants access, they should feel the cost of your attention, not because you're arrogant, but because you're aware. Now here's the twist most people miss. Some time wasters aren't testing your patience, they're testing your self-perception. They want to know, do you value yourself enough to walk away? Because if the answer is no, they've found their next pawn. But if the answer is yes, they've just met their match. So next time someone delays you on purpose, don't get polite. Get surgical, get clear. End the meeting early, cancel the call, redirect your focus. Don't explain, don't justify, don't apologize. Just exit. And let the silence say what politeness never could. I am not your accessory. I am not your waiting room. I am not here to orbit your indecision. That one shift, it changes your posture permanently, because time once wasted can never be returned. But power, once reclaimed, becomes the new standard. Machiavelli didn't just guard his time, he used it like a weapon, precise, intentional, and uncompromising. And in your world, you should too. Situation 5. When someone is trying to intimidate you with passive power. Not all attacks are loud. Some of the most dangerous power plays come in silence. No insults, no shouting, just tone, timing, and subtle dominance. The way they say your name, too slowly. The way they pause before responding, long enough to make you feel small. The sarcasm so slight it's almost deniable. The eye contact that lingers, not warm, but calculating. And what do most people do? They try to maintain peace. They smile, they act unbothered, they tell themselves, stay above it. But inside, they feel it. That subtle tightening in the chest, that slight hesitation in their voice, that internal shrinking. And worse, the other person can tell. Because that's the game. They're not trying to provoke you, they're trying to control you without a scene. This is passive power, and when you respond with politeness, you validate it. You teach them, you can chip away at me, as long as you do it quietly. That's how you become someone easy to manage, predictable, compliant, forgettable. But Machiavelli understood this game better than anyone. He studied power, not just in armies and empires, but in expressions, tone, rhythm. And he knew, when someone is trying to dominate without words, your job is to dominate without reaction. How? Not with aggression, not with shouting, but with cold presence. They pause too long before speaking. Don't fill the silence. Let it hang. Look them dead in the eye and wait. They say something laced with veiled sarcasm. Don't smile. Don't flinch. Say, let's stay focused. They give you the silent treatment? Good. Match it. Double it. Your silence should be heavier than theirs because yours isn't reactive. It's deliberate. This isn't about playing games. It's about refusing to play theirs. Now, here's what most people misunderstand. They think being polite in these situations is mature. That if they stay graceful, they've won. But that's wrong. Politeness in the face of subtle dominance is not maturity. It's submission in disguise. Because you're not choosing it. You're defaulting to it. And predators can smell it. They smell your discomfort, they smell your fear of tension, and they use it. Machiavelli would never try to make things smooth. He would make them sharp. He would disrupt the rhythm. He would interrupt. Not rudely, but with precision. He would strip the interaction of all emotional bait, and that's your job too. Here are 3 ways to do it. 1. Interrupt the tone, not the words. If someone speaks with implied superiority, don't engage the content. Engage the energy. Say if you've got something to say it directly. Or, we can have the conversation but leave the tone out of it. This forces them to recalibrate. It breaks their script. 2. Flatten your emotional response. Don't smile when you don't mean it. Don't nod just to smooth the tension. Let your face be still. Let your voice be flat. Not hostile, solid. This isn't about being mean. It's about showing them you see the game, and you're not playing. 3. Withdraw warmth. This is the most powerful move. When someone expects you to maintain emotional harmony, don't. Take the smile off your face. Take the friendliness out of your tone. They'll feel it. And in that moment, they realize something unsettling. This person is not socially bound. They can go cold at any time. And that changes everything. Because the people who rely on subtle power fear only one thing, someone immune to it. Someone who doesn't need to outshine them, just outlast them. Someone who doesn't take the bait but rewrites the script. Someone who doesn't react but observes. Politeness, in the wrong hands, becomes a leash. And once someone learns they can control you with just a look, just a pause, just a shrug, they will never stop using it, unless you make them. So the next time someone tries to press your frame with passive power, remember, you don't owe them comfort. You don't owe them softness. You don't owe them anything. Look them in the eyes. Stay calm, stay cold, stay absolutely unmoved. Because that's what shakes them the most, not confrontation, but neutrality. The kind that says, you don't affect me, you don't move me, you don't control me. That's how Machiavellians win, not by being loud, but by being unreadable. Learn or be used. Let's bring it all into focus. You've just seen 5 examples of Machiavellian thinking in action, not in palaces or war rooms, but in everyday life. In subtle pauses, in silent manipulation, in fake apologies, strategic delays, and forced politeness. And the scariest part? You've probably been on the receiving end, without even realizing it. That's the entire point. These tactics work best when they go unnoticed, because when you don't recognize strategy, you become part of someone else's. And if you think you're safe because you're a good person, if you believe others wouldn't do that to you, you're exactly who gets used. The world isn't just full of manipulators. It's full of people playing unconscious games, tests, power grabs, psychological experiments in real time. The coworker who always speaks last to control the room. The friend who gives to get. The family member who guilt trips under the mask of love. The boss who withholds praise so you chase it like a dog. None of this is random. It's all strategy. You're not imagining it. You're not being paranoid. You're finally seeing the game. And that's the shift. Because once you see it, you can't unsee it. You stop reacting, you start deciding, you stop feeling like the world is unfair, and start realizing the world rewards those who know how to move through it consciously. Here's the truth. You don't need to become a manipulator. You don't need to fake kindness or wield coldness just to hurt people. But you do need to learn this language. Because without it, you're walking through a battlefield with a smile, expecting kindness in a world that respects power. And let's be clear, power isn't cruelty. It isn't dominance. It's presence. It's choice. The power to know when to be silent, when to go cold, when to walk away, when to say, this conversation is over. That's not aggression. That's sovereignty. You're not here to be everyone's emotional comfort. You're not here to be liked by people who wouldn't respect you anyway. You're here to take back control of your energy, your boundaries, your presence. And once you do, you stop being a target. You stop being easy to predict. You stop being manipulated before you even know it's happening. So the final choice is this: learn the game or be used by it. You can keep playing nice and stay stuck, or you can wake up, arm yourself with awareness, and walk through the world like a strategist, not a servant. By now, you've seen the blueprint. You know what to look for. You know what it feels like when power is being pulled from you through subtle tactics. So the next time it happens, don't explain. Don't argue. Don't beg. Just pause. Let them feel the shift. Let them realize this is not someone I can toy with. That's your transformation. That's your weapon. And from this moment forward, you don't exist for people's comfort. You exist to command your space. Because in a world full of predictable people, the one who sees the game becomes the most powerful person in the room. If this video opened your eyes, good, that was the goal. Because this is just the beginning. What you've seen today are only the surface level tactics. Beneath them is an entire system of power, strategy, and psychological warfare that most people will never understand. And that's exactly why they stay stuck. But you're not most people. If you're ready to stop living on autopilot, if you're ready to stop being the one who always plays nice while others play smart, then subscribe, because this channel isn't for entertainment, it's for transformation. It's for those who want to move through life with clarity, control, and a mind sharpened like a weapon. So ask yourself, are you done being predictable? Then click that button. Because around here we don't just watch power, we become it.